Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of Three Drams. As always, I'm your host, Matt Healy, also known as Pot Stilled Matt, and we are delighted to have you here for episode 42. This is 43 months on the trot of Three Drams, so a very big welcome to you all here. Of course, we always start out the show welcoming all of you guys watching at home, whether you are watching us live or after the fact, as many people do. It is always great to see you new and existing faces of the world of Three Drams, because Three Drams is brought to you by the guys at Irish Malts, who work tirelessly to get Irish whiskey creators and makers to you in your home with three lovely little whiskeys in a box just like this every month. Whether you watch us live or after the fact, I hope you enjoy exploring the world of Irish whiskey. And as always, I am only the pretty face of the organization. I show up and I talk to these great flavor makers and creators, and it is the guys in Irish Malts and the whole team there who put together the whiskeys, the companies as well who donate their time and also bringing these fantastic whiskeys. I say a very big thank you to them. I'm delighted to see Martin Purcell back as always, coming in from Limerick. Alan we're seeing from Galway. I know a number of our friends, of course, in the world of walking clubs in Shneem are always joining us as well. And then, of course, we have our friends in County Wicklow. I'm sure at some point we'll see the Glanmire Massive, and of course, all of our friends in Germany who are both watching before on the live and after the fact as well. So a very big welcome to you all. As I said, tonight we have three fantastic guests. So we have three of our lovely whiskeys in our fantastically packaged bottles here. We have three very unique and very different whiskeys, which I think we're going to have a lot of fun tasting this evening. So I hope you enjoy tasting with us. If you have any questions, make sure to ask them in the comments section, because these are your chance. These are the flavor makers and creators who are here to not only walk us through their whiskeys and the world of Irish malt and Irish whiskey, but also answer the questions that you have about these whiskeys. We have two distilleries and one fantastic brand who are with us on the show. Three different aspects of the world of Irish whiskey. So we're going to be able to ask them their experiences and learn a little bit about their brands and taste some delicious whiskey. But as always, I know we're not here to listen to me, but welcome anyway. I'm always delighted to see your lovely faces. I am delighted to welcome our guest number one, because we know it's whiskey time. It is the lovely Sailor's Home whiskey. This is the Journey, and I'm delighted to be joined by Cian, the co-founder of Sailor's Home. Welcome back to the show, Cian. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, Matt. Good. It's nice to be here. Nice to be able to hear you. Sorry about the technical issues that we were facing, but lovely to be here.
Well, no one knew that except you and me, but that is true. We had some technical issues right up until the wire. I think you got the audio working about 3 minutes before we went live, so it's fantastic to have you. For any of you who haven't been following Three Drams, I suppose for the last 43 months, we've had Sailor's Home on before. Every time we taste a whiskey from you guys, I taste it blind, and I always taste the whiskeys blind going into the show because I want it to be a fresh reaction to it. I've loved every whiskey we've had from Sailor's Home. So when the guys in Irish Malts told me we were back with Sailor's Home after what must be about a year at this point, I was thrilled. I'm going to pull up the bottle because I am a sucker for your packaging. This is, I think, fantastic packaging. You see it there on the right. Huge, very ornate cork as well. Well, the top of the cork itself, and a beautiful bottle. This is dram number one, Iver One. I'm going to drop a little bit into the glass because I know lots of people don't wait with us, so I'll make sure we have something in the glass to sip along with. But Cian, why don't you tell us what this whiskey is and what we're going to have in the glass?
Yeah, cool, absolutely. Matt, again, lovely to be here, and I'll tell everyone like the story about how we arrived at this whiskey. This is the Journey. This is our biggest seller. It's 50% of our sales worldwide, and this one is an interesting one because we everyone knows, Dr. Jack O'Shea is the guy behind putting together our wonderful whiskeys. And when we approached Jack, we said we wanted to do something really innovative and interesting and different and better, but we wanted to make a go-to whiskey. So it'll be down to people on Three Drams as to whether we got there in terms of this being a go-to. But it's won awards everywhere we've gone. the first time we were on Three Drams was with this whiskey in 2021. So right in the depths of the pandemic, and it's a blend. What's a little unusual is we started with the grain, and we aged the grain first in virgin casks, and then we recast the grain into bourbon. And that's really unusual because grain is normally the poor relation in a blend. And we loved it, and we talked about it between myself and Jack and the guys at Great Northern. We said this is good enough to launch as a single grain, but it was Jack who had the idea to say, look, let's make this a blend, but let's do something unusual with the malt element of the blend. So with the malt, we aged it in bourbon, and then we finished it in Jamaican rum. So we don't talk about this as a Jamaican rum finished whiskey, but we just loved the impact that the Jamaican rum had on the whiskey. So it's Appleton's rum. It's very funky, and you get kind of those lovely kind of sweet notes coming across on the whiskey. So we love. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Matt.
No, I was just going to say. So I thought that was interesting that you're saying it's not so much a rum finished whiskey, but it's maybe a component of the whiskey of a whole. It's bringing in those flavors, but maybe not the focus of them.
So the whole thing with Set Us Home was we wanted to create whiskeys that people would find really interesting, right? So for those kind of people who want to explore different tastes and so on around the world, that was our thing. That's where the Setter's Home building which is the inspiration of our brand, came from. Was built as a place to stay, to share a drink, to share a story in Limerick. It's where our packaging came from. It's where working with Jack came from, right? So it was all about creating great whiskies that people might find really interesting. And then we launched this right in the depths of COVID. So at the end of 2020, early 2021, and it's won awards everywhere since. So the one we loved was it won a gold in London in 2021 in the ISC Awards. But then at the end of that year, it won the non-age statement Irish Whiskey and the Irish Whiskey Awards, which was quite cool because that's against the great and good of the industry. And most recently won a double gold in New York. So it's at the end of 2023. So it's yeah, we love it. It's one of my favorites, obviously.
Well, I'm gonna cheers you and say sláinte. Have a little sip of it here. I'm delighted to be trying it again. So sláinte.
Sláinte, Matt.
I do love this. It's beautiful. It's expressive. There's a lot of there's sweetness in the background, but lovely pops of fruitiness going on in it as well. It's almost effervescent on the tongue.
It's one of those whiskeys that if you're new to whiskey, you love it because it's very approachable. And if you're experienced in whiskey, people come back to it all the time because they find new notes in it. And we're having a lot of success with it in different markets too, in cocktails, because it's really a nice price for the quality, but there's enough malt in it that it doesn't disappear in a cocktail. There's a lot of flavor that are brought out by different cocktails.
Absolutely. No, I mean, this is, as I said, the first time I was trying this was on 3 Drams. I was very excited to see the kind of evolution of the flavor on my palate. And I'm sure if those tasting at home as well will be thinking the same. It's a very fresh and fruity and unique whiskey. I really like the twist, as you said. It's not overpowering in rum, but you can see that pulling of those rum notes. Well, the aspects of rum, and again, that funkiness you talk about as well, which is very nice. But
working with Jack, Jack kind of insisted we went over and over and back until we eventually got something that we just absolutely loved.
Well, I was just going to say, from its first iteration and first welcome to the world in 21. I suppose, how has the blend evolved, or how has from your point of view of putting together consistency of these blends worked over the years? Because now we're, whatever it might be, 3 years in. When you talk about old grain stocks and things you had in the past, you have to keep those up from warehousing and stock keeping consistency point of view, and things come in and things go out. And how has it, I suppose, evolved, and how has it been, keeping this brand living, this expression going for all these 3 years now?
I suppose there's a couple parts to the answer. One is when we approached Jack and Jack said he would put his name to the whiskey, he wanted to know it was going to be done right. So we work really hard at that, at kind of buying forward in terms of grains of different ages and so on, and whiskies of different ages, and we control everything. So in this case, we control it from mash bill through distillation, through to aging, through to finishing, and so on. Working with the guys in Great Northern is brilliant because their lab facilities are outstanding, and we get really consistent quality over the years. And then the whole kind of driver of what we're doing is outstanding whiskies from Ireland that you mightn't expect to come from Ireland. So Journey is a great example. What we did in Pot Still with Haven is a great example. Again, a double gold winner last September in New York. Our single malt Storm Chaser is the only time in the world that Madeira has been brought together as a finish with craft Irish stout, which sounds a bit daft, but again, that was the beauty of working with Jack. And then we've got 4 different expressions coming out this year. So a new 10-year-old, which I just can't wait to get out on the market, finished in a Trinidad and Tobago spiced rum cask, and then 3 whiskies selected by Jack years ago that we're calling the Maker Series because they're kind of personal to him. So 2 22-year-old malts, and then an 8-year-old malt, which spent 3 years in bourbon and 5 years in Jamaican rum. So it's an outstanding and amazing whiskey.
It sounds like it. Are these going to be one-offs, or are they going to become core ranges?
So we're calling them the Maker Series because they're very personal to the maker, so to Jack. And the whole idea is that they won't be repeated. So once we do the 2 22-year-olds, they're both outstanding. Once they're gone, they're gone. And even the 8-year-old will never repeat it. So we'll keep it going. We hope that people will like it, but it'll be cask strength. And once we stop and we'll do something else in the range, it won't be back again.
So something I'm sure if people love it, we'll have to stockpile up to keep it in their own personal stocks.
Yeah, that's assuming Jack lets any of it out and doesn't drink it. But it's now it's good. It's good. It's going well.
Well, very good. So the whiskey we're having this evening in the Journey, it's 43%, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So if people are looking to grab their own bottle around the world, what kind of ORP would you be looking at, and where might people be able to find it?
So Irish Malts, obviously irishmalts.com. On our website. Around Ireland, you'll find us in places like Fine Wines, the Celtic Whisky Shop, various different retail places around the country. And then we're in 22 countries now. So, UK, Belgium, Netherlands, Germany, across Europe. We're now in one state in the US, and we're right on the edge of announcing another 2, which is quite cool. But primarily online, Matt, in Ireland, and as I said, places like Fine Wines and Celtic Whisky Shop and so on.
That's fantastic. And for those people around the world who are listening to you talk about those 22 countries, is future expansion on the cards, or is servicing the countries you have right now what you're looking at?
Yeah, so we finished 2023 in 2 countries. We've added 2 more countries already this year. Our whole plan was launch Sailor's Home and prove it works, and it's working, which is great. Like, we're growing in all of our strong markets. And then on the back of that, look to develop our own distillery. So because it's going well, we're actually buying the land for our own distillery this year, which is quite cool. So we're looking forward to that. And that's probably the most exciting, the most challenging thing for us this year. And it is about not just adding markets, but servicing our customers properly, and making sure that we give them support to help them sell Sailor's Home. And as I said, I'm delighted with how that's going.
I just want to say, Martin Purcell, who's a long-time supporter and fan of 3 Drams, has just jumped into the comments section saying he found his tasting notes from tasting this in January of 2022. And he was so impressed back then that he's enjoyed more than one bottle of this since then. So that's nice.
Yeah, that's excellent. Yeah. So, and that's the whole idea. I'm really curious to see what the comments say, because we talk about this as your new go-to, one that you kind of go back to over and over. And it sounds like Martin did, and I hope it's not just one, but that's quite cool to hear.
No, absolutely. It's nice to see that kind of cyclicalness of it as well. Sorry, my Apple Watch just binged a text from one of my friends watching saying, "This is absolutely lovely whiskey." I was just looking at it, turn it off. So I'm delighted that they're enjoying it too. But yeah, it's nice to see that cyclicalness of Martin be able to come back, because, as I said, all whiskeys strive for that consistency over time. But of course, people's palates change, and it's nice to see someone who tasted it in January 22 and now we're in April of 24 and seeing that they're still enjoying the whiskey,
Actually, Matt, just while I think of it, one thing that we're doing this year that I'm kind of proud of, that I'd love to share with people on the on 3 Drams is, that lovely closure at the top of the bottle, that kind of really wide cork, and has a lovely experience with us. So we've kept that in terms of the width, but we've changed what it's made out of. So we have just moved, and I know it's going to be quite hard to see in the camera.
Let me make you big here so you can.
Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. So we have just moved to a closure which is made from recycled ocean plastics, and we're kind of proud of that. So every single closure is the equivalent of a PET bottle coming out of the oceans.
Wow.
So which is quite cool. Yeah.
That must have been a journey to not only get those find a manufacturer and get them manufactured, but also integrate it with your packaging.
Yeah, for sure. We're working with Oceanworks, and they take the plastics out of the oceans and grade it and so on and so on. And then we're working with Goala closures in Italy to turn it into closures for our bottles. So really proud of us. Yeah.
And from a tactile point of view, does it noticeably feel different to like, say, a normal closure would feel like? Because I've never heard of a recycled plastic topper to the cork, so I'm interested to see, because looking at it, it looks very sturdy.
Yeah, so we the thing about our bottle is that the diameter of the cork is quite big, so you get a lot of cork in there, so it feels lovely in the hand still, and the experience is lovely. But it's recycled ocean plastics mixed with a natural substance called granic. Granic. I think it's granic, which gives it a nice feel in the hand too. It's kind of almost feels a little bit chalky. But it's recycled ocean plastics and it's recyclable. So yeah. And actually, the one thing that it does, funnily enough, is wherever you see it on shelf, it dates the other corks. The other corks look dated immediately, right? Just because this is sitting beside it. But yeah, it's good.
Can I ask, what was there had to be a eureka moment in the boardroom coming up with that? Was this someone's passion project, or did someone see a news report from the company that you're partnering with taking plastic out of the ocean, or how? Because this is a very fun idea. It's just interesting to hear how the genesis of that project.
So our whole thing when we launched Sailor's Home was we think that Irish whiskey has a place in the world, right? The conversations you have, the crack you have, the interesting perspectives you have over an Irish whiskey. So for us, right, it's important to be a positive player in our community, right, in our society. And then we looked at it and we said, okay, well we are Sailor's Home. We're about our community and we're about our world, and of course we're really closely connected to the oceans, right, with a brand called Sailor's Home. So we said we can talk a good talk, or we can do something. So we invested in the molds, and we went out and we worked with Oceanworks, and we made it happen, because we wanted to, the beautiful thing about glass is that it's recyclable, but there's a carbon footprint to making glass. So we wanted to do something that was a positive signal around sustainability. We were already doing things like sourcing or secondary packaging from FSC certified forests and all the rest. But this was something where we were really putting our money where our mouth was, where we had to, invest in the molds, try to get the cost of it to be similar to the wood closure and so on. And then we ran with it. So that was why we did it.
That's absolutely fantastic. Well, Cian, thank you for sharing that with us. For those who are sitting at home with your glasses in front of you, let us know if you have any questions or tasting notes. Of course, you can always ask after the fact, and we can pass those on as well. Martin saying, way too easy to drink this. I got a lovely toffee taste from this. It is yummy. Aaron Riley saying, I particularly like this tobacco creme brulee on the nose, creamy mango on the palate, white pepper and sticky fruity finish. And I really like that white pepper and sticky fruity finish, because that's exactly where I am as well. That kind of pepperiness. Sorry, my dog has just barged into the room. She learned how to open doors.
She heard the tasting notes, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Hang on. Hello. So anyway, before we go, what was the RRP on this bottle?
So it's 50 in Ireland, and then it's 40 in Germany, and it's $35 in the US. So it's around that kind of price point.
Very good. I think anyone who's tasting, my other dog has now come in. I need to close this door. I think anyone. Oh, there goes my ring light. Okay, this is great. Sorry, I've been thrown by that. I think a great price point for this whiskey. This is every time I taste Sailor's Home, I'm overjoyed having it on the show. John McCarthy saying his first Sailor Home closure, he put a magnet on the end of it, and now it's a mag on his whiteboard, his favorite closure. So clearly one to keep. And I look forward to seeing how people integrate the new plastic closures as well into their whiteboards and their whiskey collections. Cian, I thank you very much. If you want to give the people at home watching both live and after the fact, the one point you want to leave people with Sailor's Home, digest it down to one thing to take away, what will it be? And I will close the store before these dogs come back.
No, listen, I think I've already said it. Our whole thing is about creating outstanding flavors that people will find interesting and come back to. And, we've done it across a range of different styles of whiskey. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope everyone on the podcast enjoys it, and sláinte.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. So we are moving on from our first fantastic whiskey of this evening. And listen, you can already hear it in my voice. I am absolutely thrilled with whiskey number one. But now we're moving to whiskey number two. This is the Drumshanbo Marsala cask. This is a single pot still whiskey. And I am joined by Luke Kilkenny, a man whose last name isn't even the same as the county the distillery is in. What are we doing, Luke? We're going to need a deed poll the name change here.
I need to rename myself Luke Leitrim or Luke
exactly.
But yeah, I'm coming to you live from Shed Distillery in Drumshanbo in Leitrim. So finished a good day at work, and I'm sitting here in the bar with a glass of whiskey in front of me. So I'm happy out.
Is there a worse way to be in the world?
Not at all.
And by the looks of it, lovely sunshine there as well.
Absolutely, not too bad. We've had a good couple of days up here, so it's I'm happy enough. I was off for a couple of days with the nice weather, and now it was all right today. We had a busy day, so no, this is something I'm looking forward to. Very nice to meet you, Matt. For my first time doing one of these, but sure, so that's look forward to it. Listen,
everyone in the comments section will be kind, no doubt. This is Dram Iverdo right here. This is the Drumshanbo Marsala cask. I'm just getting some into the glass for those sitting at home. So there we go. So tell us, Luke, for those that don't know you, give us a quick rundown of who you are, and then let's get into this whiskey and let's talk about this. What I'm hoping is going to be a lovely nose, because we've had Drumshanbo on recently, and now we're going back with a brand new expression to the show. So I'm very excited about this.
Yeah, well, I hope you enjoy it. I certainly do anyways. First of all, myself, I've worked at the Shed Distillery for the last 3.5 years. The visitor centre that I'm based in right now, that's only been open for just over 3.5 years. So I've been here since the very start of this place anyways. The distillery itself is just coming up to its 10-year anniversary. Our first ever distillation was Christmas time 2014. So winter solstice 2014, that was our first ever distillation. Now, a lot of people that will know the Shed Distillery will probably know us for gunpowder gin rather than for our whiskies, which is fair enough. And we do produce a wonderful range of single pot still whiskies as well. Obviously, this Marsala cask one that we're tasting right now. But our theology for our whiskies is very similar to what we're doing with our gins as well. So anyone that is familiar with our range of gunpowder gins will know we have a few different variants. So we have the original blue bottle, then we have a few different colors and flavors as well. So that's the same in terms of our whiskey. We have our flagship single pot still, which was first released in 2019. Last year, then, we just released our Pinot Noir cask expression of our single pot still. And this year's expression is obviously this Marsala cask. We were very, very happy with the Pinot Noir cask expression last year. That went down very, very well. It actually won an award at the Irish Whiskey Awards. It was the best whiskey under 11 years, best single pot still whiskey under 11 years old last year here in Ireland. So again, we're very proud of that. It's gone down very well, and obviously we're all sold out of it now, so people must have liked it enough.
Always a good sign.
I know, yeah. This year's one obviously is this Marsala cask single pot still. So all of our whiskies, no matter what they are single pot stills. We have a single malt as well. All of them are 7 years old now. We have had to up that. Originally, all of our single pot stills were actually 5 years old. So like I said, our first one was released in 2019 and our first distillation was 2014. That's 5 years, not 7. The reason behind that was actually we had to change warehouse in the last couple of years. And Brian Taft, who's our head distiller, and Peter Igney, who's the man who owns this place, they just found it wasn't maturing quite right in the new warehouse. They needed to up that aging limit. So they upped it to 7 years as opposed to the 5 that we were doing. And yeah, we're very, very happy with this single pot still, with the Marsala cask. The Marsala cask's coming from Sicily in Italy. And actually I have, just beside me, I have a glass of, or a little bit of Marsala wine in this glass here, just to compare between the two. I know drinking wine out of a whiskey glass is sacrilege, but
no. It's fortified. It's fortified. You drink that whatever way you want to, Luke. Could you want to show us the color of that Marsala actually in the glass? The actual
the Marsala. Get it up to the camera, right? Really nice, dark, kind of nearly a ruby color. It's really good. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, when comparing with the whiskey, you see a slight tinge of that coming through as well. Obviously, the wine has quite a different oxidization to it, so it's not going to be quite the same color, but a nice impact to it as well. No, it's. I see Martin Purcell saying he gets a spicy nose. This one, I just took my nose in it once. I haven't tasted it yet, but it is very expressive on the nose. Like this jumps out of the glass. Yeah,
really does. Now, one thing that is very important for us is it's an expression of the original flagship. So it's not necessarily a completely different whiskey. It's not a new thing. It's still a variation of the original. So our mash bill is 95% malted and unmalted barley. Obviously, single pot still whiskey, it has to be at least that, or you have to have your 2 types of barley anyways. And then the last 5% for us is made up of Irish oats. Something that's a little bit more unique, I suppose, something we really are very proud of. And we find the oats lend a really nice creaminess to all of our single pot stills. Just helps you digest them that little bit easier, makes it really nice and smooth, really nice and creamy. We find that with all of our single pot stills. Now, you'll see just on the glass, you'll see all the oils. Now, it might not come as well on the camera, but I'm sure at home you'll see them on your own glass.
You can see them on my glass there, yeah.
Yeah, so obviously this whiskey, it's 100% natural color, and there's no artificial coloring, and it's non-chill filtered.
Very good. I am going to take a little sip of this now, so I'm going to say sláinte.
Sláinte.
As always, very expressive on the palate. A lot of that that unmalted barley influence in it as well. A little bit of that kind of dusty graininess from oats as well in the background, and then that Marsala is just layered very nicely on top. I like that I actually quite like the pot still flavor comes through on the fore of the palate, and then it's kind of followed by the marsala. It's layered very nicely. I quite like that rather than just like one punch of marsala. I think there's very nice layering to it. And is this going to be a core range product then, or is this for the year?
This is just for the year. So obviously, like I said, last year's expression was that Pinot Noir cask single pot still whiskey, and then this year's expression is going to be the Marsala cask instead. I'm sure there's plenty of people that are watching that'll be going to Whiskey Live next month. In the RDS, we'll be bringing this along with our flagship single pot still and our single malt as well for people to taste. Anyone who's coming to Whiskey Live will see us then.
Very good. And will you be up yourself if people recognize you from the show?
I'll be up both days. I'll be up Friday and Saturday. So I have the full experience up there. I was up there last year as well. It's good fun. It's really nice, interesting going around and seeing what other people are doing as well, which is the same as what this is, I suppose, as well. Just to get a bit more experience on what other people are at as well.
For you at the show, obviously a distillery that, as you said, the distillation is almost 10 years old now. And perhaps people know you most well for the gunpowder gin. I suppose from your point of view, from your personal experience rather than a company experience, what have you experienced with the punters coming to the stand? Do they know the name through the gin? Are they coming straight to you because they need to get a taste of the whiskey? Is it a mix of exploration and old fans, or?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. I would say predominantly most people that visit us here will know us for gunpowder gin, and that's what we get an awful lot. So I don't know if anyone who's watching or listening has been up to the Shed Distillery before. So we'll do our own tour. So we have a tour here. Basically, that starts off as a whiskey segment. So we bring people through our entire whiskey production process, and then there's a whiskey tasting, which a lot of people who do it say, oh, where's the gin? You know, when are we getting to gin? I have to say, no, that's for later on. And during that tour, we give them a taste of the flagship single pot still whiskey. And something that carries through from the flagship single pot still to this Marsala cask, it's very approachable. You know, it's not something that's going to turn people away from whiskey. The flagship is aged in bourbon and sherry. It's 7 years old. Nice, safe combination. It's quite sweet. Well, I say quite sweet. It is on the sweeter side, but lovely spiciness coming through from it as well. Very easy to drink, which is what we want from our single pot still whiskey. One thing that's very important that Brian Taft, the head distiller, he finds very important is the new make spirit. That maybe a lot of people, when they're making their whiskey, they might focus entirely on the cask. They say, well, no, the cask is doing all the work. For Brian, that's not strictly true. He says, no, the new make spirit is so important. You can't just make any old new make spirit and expect it to turn out good just because you've aged it in a couple of nice barrels. You have to do everything start to finish absolutely spot on. And so the new make spirit itself is very, very tasty. I've had the experience myself. It's lovely coming straight off the still, even though it is 80-odd%. But no, it's still lovely. And then obviously cut back down and aged for 7 years at least in all of our barrels.
Fantastic. Martin Purcell jumping in to say he'll come say hello to you at Whiskey Live this year. I'm going to make you the larger of the two of us here. Can you show us the box that it comes in? I know you have beside you there.
Yes.
So this is what you receive if you purchase the Marsala cask from yourselves or from Irish Malts.
Yes. So you'll see it's a lovely kind of navy blue cask. Again, the Pinot Noir one last year was in a nice kind of burgundy colored box. But on this side here, you have some of the tasting notes we would expect. And then on the other side, then it just gives you kind of a breakdown of the distillery itself, the grain we use, and the barrels as well. And then all of that is also labeled on the bottle as well. Obviously, again, nice, I have to show it up right, nice kind of blue on the label, just to distinguish it from the flagship single pot still. The bottles of all of the single pot stills that we produce, they're the same style of bottles. And so just in order to distinguish between them easier, we just have that nice blue band on it. Even things like the inside of it's going to be really awkward to show if I can get it right up to the camera. There's little inscriptions just on the inside of the box here as well. And just again, little small details like that really help the product stand out on a shelf. which we find is so important. Obviously, I know I'm going back to this is a whiskey thing, but going back to gunpowder gin, the bottle sells it immediately. That bottle is what really catches your eye, and PJ Pat, he finds that the packaging is something really, really important. You can't let the packaging slip. The packaging is what will get someone to buy it first time around, but then the liquid inside is what gets them to come back a second time and a third time then again.
Absolutely. If people are looking for this online, can you tell us where they'd be able to find it and what the RRP is, please?
Yeah, so RRP, now here in Drumshanbo, we're selling it for €79 here in the shop. So again, that will vary a touch, probably depending on where you get it from. Obviously, Irish Malts, Celtic Whiskey Shop. If you're looking around the world, Masters of Malt as well should have it. So yeah, there's a few different places like that. It will be available nowhere near as readily as the gin, but in all of our kind of big areas, we would say the USA. USA has been fabulous. We have a great distribution partner over there. USA, France, Germany, obviously here in Ireland at home and in the UK as well. So they're kind of probably your 5 or 6 main areas where you will find this more easily. If you're in some other countries, it might be a little bit more difficult to come across, just because it is an expression. It is limited to this year, so we don't have huge amounts of it. We don't have huge amounts of any of our whiskey, to be quite honest. The whiskey is still in its infancy. The production, I suppose, scale is, another world to a lot of your bigger guys. But we are looking to increase that production. We're looking to double that by the end of the year. And we have a big expansion, hopefully on the way very shortly. And so once we get that all nailed down, whiskey will be a much, much bigger part of what we're doing here.
Fantastic. And if people want to come see you, I presume you guys are open all through the summer for a visitor center.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're open 7 days a week between 10 and 6 o'clock in the evenings. So yeah, we're running tours every single day of the week. We have our wonderful bar here as well. We're in the middle of getting a license for this bar, so we'll be open to serve absolutely everyone, just kind of a general kind of pub license, so anyone can come up here, have a drink on a nice summer evening. And so yeah, that is the plan. And so yeah, open 7 days a week. We have a wonderful gift shop here as well and a cafe on site also.
Fantastic. I always do say to people that you can essentially, if you're on the river cruises, park 100 meters away from the distillery and walk up. So I said this to PJ before, and he's corrected me. You can't park in the distillery, but it's like a 3-minute walk. So you might as well be parking in the distillery.
You may as well, yeah.
It is a fantastic setting. So if you find yourself on the Shannon, or you find yourself looking for good whiskey, or the biggest selling gin in Ireland, the biggest selling Irish gin, which is actually more to the point because it's not more so than just the biggest selling gin in Ireland. It is a gangbuster level gin. Check out the Shed Distillery. Luke, thank you so much for your time. I know that people watching back after the fact are going to have a lot of thoughts about this as well. Do you personally have a social media tied to the distillery, or is there a social media they can follow for the distillery?
Yes, we have a few different ones. So you have your obvious ones. So you have Facebook, Twitter or X, and Instagram. The Shed Distillery of PJ Rigney on all of them. We also have a couple of other Instagram accounts for Gunpowder Gin itself, and the Jackalope Cafe as well, which is the cafe we have on site as well. So yeah, Shed Distillery on any social media, you should be able to find us.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. I know it's a gorgeous evening, and it must have been tough getting you in to have a glass of whiskey at the bar, but it's very much appreciated. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much, Matt.
Okay, well, that is whiskey number 2. That was, of course, Drumshanbo Marsala cask, and I absolutely loved that whiskey. So right now we're 2 for 2, and I don't think we're going to go anywhere else other than a full triple here, because we are on to Dram Iver Tree. We are going to the lovely Dingle, County Kerry, with our lovely new guest, Fia Lynch. Welcome to the show, sir. How are you doing?
I'm very good, Matt. How are you getting on? Thanks very much for having me on the show. I'm slightly overwhelmed now after listening to Cian and the guys from Drumshanbo as well. Fantastic distilleries. So, a lot of work to do straight off the bat. But no, thanks for having me on. It's fantastic to be here.
Not at all. As everyone at home can see, I have got Dram River 3 into the glass. You won't know this. It's kind of funny having to pour the glass into it. I've mentioned a couple of times over the last 43 months that on the very first show, I had it pre-poured, and someone accused me of getting like special samples from the distilleries. So I just do it to show everyone that I have the same samples as everyone else. But I know that I've yet to stick my nose in this, but I know it's going to be absolutely fantastic. Why don't you give us a brief introduction to this product, and then I'll have a little nose, and then why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself as well for the people that don't know you?
Yeah, so my name is Fiach, again, a name that's just as difficult to pronounce as our whiskies, so that's probably why they brought me on. But I essentially work as the business development manager for the Dingle Distillery, and I'm just freshly in the role, so I'm here the last 2 months. And my job essentially is trying to grow the brand on the ground in Ireland. I'm based in Dublin, and Dublin is my main focus. And I'm also looking after the Munster area as well. And yeah, I'm actually a Dingle native as well. So I grew up on the Dingle Peninsula. I've worked in the Dingle Distillery in many different levels as well. Thankfully, all the way back as early as my college days, where I actually worked on the bottling line. And then I was lucky enough to get involved with the Dingle Distillery after my master's in marketing. And I worked over in the UK market with them as their brand ambassador. And I worked there for 2 years. And then obviously, unfortunately, COVID came along and just kind of put the kibosh and everything. So I stopped working with the guys for a number of years, but I'm just after coming back now, and I'm fulfilling the same role essentially that I did in the UK. But I'm very, very grateful of it, and I'm really, really excited to be working with the guys as well, because obviously Dingle Distillery is at the forefront of independent distilleries in Ireland. You know, dating all the way back to 2012. When they first open up their doors. So I'm really enjoying it, really liking it, and I'm really happy to be here as well, Matt. So thanks for having me on.
Well, not a problem at all. I know there's lots of things going on with the distillery, big expansion plans in the work. You've got a new head distiller going on as well. Obviously the whiskeys are some of, over the years, some of the most sought after whiskeys and in Irish whiskey. Pardon me. Obviously, it must be a very exciting time. And to give you to give you Dublin and Munster is a great geographical area that they've given you as well. I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun with that. For people,
they like to keep me on their toes.
That's good. For people that would know one of your colleagues, Beardy Dave, he would have had a very, I suppose, similar role to yourself. I presume that you'll be working alongside him and I suppose taking on some of his responsibilities as his roles develop as well. Would that be the case?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I am essentially working directly under Beardy Dave. We have a running joke in the company there that Beardy Dave is actually the busiest man in Ireland. So I'm delighted to be working with him, under him. Obviously, everybody would know Beardy Dave, especially within the Irish market, how influential he is and how much work he does on the ground. So to be able to come in and work under someone like him, I'm very, very grateful. He has a wealth of knowledge and an understanding of the market, as well as understanding the brands and the products down to a T as well. So honestly, anything he says or anything he does, I just try and do it to the same level or to the same standard.
Well, fantastic. We had one show as well with Dingle. So for anyone that doesn't know, Beardy Dave, very, very well known man in the domestic Irish whiskey market. His name is Dave Cummins, which is important to this story. There is a person that watches this show quite a lot whose name is Dave Cummings. And we had a show with Dave Cummins, commenting in the comment section, which led to all sorts of confusion and rigmarole, which was great fun. And of course, Beardy Dave took it completely in his stride. So I see one question here saying that they love the Celtic Wheel of the Year collection or series, and when is the next release? It's probably jumping the gun a little bit, but why don't you introduce this whiskey and what it's a part of, and then maybe we can jump to that question.
Absolutely, yeah. So essentially what we're tasting here today is the Grianstad an Gheorig. Now, again, I understand it's the Irish language and we didn't make the pronunciation particularly straightforward, but essentially Grianstad an Gheorig refers to the winter solstice. And what this whiskey is, it's part of a 9-part series release representing the Celtic Whiskey Wheel of the Year. So this is the 5th release in a 9-part series. And essentially every release that we've done so far, or every release within this this limited series release, is going to represent a specific time in the Celtic Whiskey Wheel of the Year. So this one here is Grianstad an Gheorig, as I mentioned before, and that is winter solstice. So this occurs on the 21st of December every single year, and the literal translation for Grianstad is sun stop. So this is the point in the year we're at our midway through winter, essentially. And this is when the day features the least amount of time of the least amount of daylight hours out of any day in the year. So like I said, it's the 21st of December, but most Irish people will probably remember Grianstad an Gheorig for one particular reason. And it is the time of the year where we are allowed to use the term, the grand stretch in the evening. We as an Irish people love this term, the grand stretch. Essentially from this day forward, it means that the days are going to start getting a little bit longer. So us Irish people will stand outside our window and we're going to be waiting there with our cup of tea or with our glass of whiskey. And we're going to be there saying, Christ, there's a grand stretch in the evening there, isn't it? So that is the biggest association I can have with this release, Grianstad an Gheorig. And essentially the brainchild behind this one was very straightforward. So back in our initial releases, back when we used to do batches, our batch number 6, which came out in 2021, was matured exclusively in a tawny port cask. Now, at the time, Irish whiskies and its combination with tawny port casks was few and far between. I think at the time of our batch number 6 release, there was about 2 or 3 Irish whiskies that were using a tawny port influence. So essentially what we wanted to do is we wanted to take this and run with it even further. And what we did is we did a first fill bourbon maturation, and then we did we gave it a second maturing period in a tawny port cask. And again, everybody knows port, it has its dark fruity flavors, and you always associate port essentially with your hot port, your hot whiskeys, which can be which you would essentially associate with that time of year as well. So yeah, like I said, we decided to run wholly with that because we saw that there was a very good reception to using a port cask finish. So we went completely with that. We did a first fill bourbon finish, and then we matured it further in a tawny port cask. And that left you with our Grianstad an Gheorig. So again, Dingle, as you may know, is a product of its own environment. And every time we release a whiskey, we want that whiskey to represent more than just the bottle that it's filled in. So represent Dingle, represent Ireland during the winter weathers, the dark, cold time of year. And then we associate that, with port, which gives you more a spicy taste, dark fruits. And then, of course, the bourbon contributes to giving a bit more of a balance to that, where it adds more sweet and vanilla-like flavors to it as well.
Well, I see that Martin Purcell saying it's fruity on the nose, but something Christmassy about it that he can't pin down. So maybe some of those port characteristics are reminding him of Christmas evenings.
Absolutely. Same as myself now, to be fair.
Well, I'm going to say sláinte. I'm going to cheers the camera here and have a little sip.
Cheers.
And the ABV on this?
So the ABV on this is actually slightly higher at 50.5. So in the last few years, we've obviously transitioned from doing just batch releases, and we released our first core expression a number of years ago in our Dingle single malt. But what we got from the consumers, or what people seems to be looking for, was a higher ABV percentage. So the Celtic whiskey wheel has a combination of 9 different whiskies, and they are split between single malt and pot still. And each of them are either at 50.5%, and our pot stills coming in slightly higher at a 53.5% as well.
And have, I suppose, going back to Alan's question, are we scheduled for a new release coming down the line as well to look forward to, or is that a little bit on the need to know basis right now?
No, not at all. So our next release will be involved with the summer solstice. So you'll be looking at around a release of June, around the June time.
Fantastic. And have all of the releases already been picked out, or as in like the actual liquid? I know that the timings have been picked out, but do the liquids kind of develop and see what's best, or have there already been casks earmarked for each release?
No, so every single one of the whiskies a part of this release will be all first fill bourbon cask, and then each of them will spend a significant amount of time being matured in port, sherry, or wine casks.
Fantastic. So it's my thought process just being, when you build out a project like this, some people take the approach of seeing what's best to fit at the time, and other people lay down stock specifically for it. And it sounds like you've definitely laid out stock specifically for this campaign, which is even, I suppose, more exciting for the distillery.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, we're at a position now where we released our first ever whiskey back in 2015, and since then we've had constant releases in the terms of our batches. We've had our core expression being released, and now we have this limited release coming out as well. So we've very much been able to find our voice in the market, and we've been able to take on board what the consumer and the customers are looking for in return. And essentially what we came out with here is the whiskey reader release, where we are releasing a different whiskey every time. Each time it has a different expression, and each time the bottle itself and the liquid inside of it is represented to the time of year in which it has been released as well. So, I mean, a lot of it is just coming to the stage of the distillery now where we have that level of liquid available to us, and we have the ideas, and we have the casks to mature it in, and we have the voice of the consumers. We know what people are looking for. We know what people want. So it's at a very exciting time where we're able to work with a lot of different casks. We have a nicely matured whiskey. The whiskey inside this bottle will be about 7 years old. So at a good, nice age. And like I said before, the maturation process and the barrels in which we mature our whiskey into, it's very, very important, because again, the flavors come to fore a lot more because of the high level distillation process that we employ in the Dingle distillery. So yeah, no, it's an exciting time to be part of them, and it's an exciting time to be a consumer of whiskey as well, because we will have a great amount of whiskey coming out in the market over the next while as well, and a lot for people to be getting excited about.
Yeah, for me, I'm seeing some of the tasting notes coming through here from Aaron and Martin, and looking at the different things that they're tasting. I like Aaron mentions kind of a mouth wateringness. I also get that once it leaves my palate, I almost salivate.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the finish of these whiskeys, especially when you're using something as strong as, or as forthcoming as bourbon and port, you're going to get those dark fruits. You're going to get that spicy lingering feeling that'll come on the finish as well. And again, all of that ties in with the essential idea behind the bottle itself, and that is the winter solstice. And for a lot of Irish people, getting halfway through the wintertime is such a significant part. So, I mean, the best thing you can do is celebrate that with a lovely glass of whiskey that represents the time of year.
Absolutely. If people are looking for this online and internationally, are they able to pick it up, or is it just in Ireland?
Yeah, no. So we're lucky enough to be widespread. Obviously, you can purchase this through Irish Malts, Celtic Whiskey Store, Masters of Malts, We actually have a good footprint on the mainland Europe as well, so Germany, Spain, France, and all these European markets as well. And then, of course, we're looking to be supplied by the likes of Centra, SuperValu, O'Brien's, and Fine Wines as well. So widespread availability for this product.
Fantastic. And if people are going to Whiskey Live, I presume we'll see the lovely Dingle stand there again this year.
You'll see the lovely Dingle stand, and whether you think I'm lovely or not, you'll see me standing there as well. So I'll be taking part in my first ever Irish Whiskey Live. So looking forward to that. Slightly nervous, but no, I can't wait to be there. Can't wait to meet people. Can't wait to talk to customers and see how people are finding our products so far as well. So yeah, you'll see me there.
Wow. Well, I'm very much looking forward to it. I know Whiskey Live Dublin is the highlight of the whiskey calendar in Ireland, and I'm sure people will love to see it. Fiach, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate you giving us your time. It's lovely to have new and more representatives from Dingle Distillery and to see these new releases coming from the Celtic Wheel of the Year as well.
That brilliant. Much appreciated, man. Thanks so much as well for having me.
Well, not a problem. Thank you to all of our guests this evening, both to Cian and Luke who came before you, and of course the guys in Irish Malt to put this all together. If you're a subscriber to 3 Drams, and if you're here, there's over 50 people watching right this moment. If you're here and not a member, what are you doing? You want to get this box right to your door. Make sure you subscribe to 3 Drams, because if you do, you get a discount code for all the whiskeys we are tasting this evening, and they go directly to your door. If you want to buy 1, 2, or all 3, there's discount codes in there for all of it. Just check your email inbox because it's always a great way to get Irish whiskies to your door. To everyone watching at home, very big thank you, and to the O'Donovan brothers who own, run, and operate both Irish Malts and 3 Drams, and to the team at 3 Drams, a very big thank you. And to everyone else, good night.